What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm not going to do any crazy intro to this one as far as, I'm not even going to put intro music in it. Fuck it. I'm not going to put intro music in it. This is just for me. This is for have a good time, just kind of hanging out by myself. This episode is revolving around my seasonal depression, I guess. I listened to a lot of music during a very specific and emotionally vivid time in my life. And so this is just kind of me talking about all those albums that really meant the world to me, and just rambling about stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy it. As always, I'm gonna have a bunch of guests on throughout the rest of this month and next month. But this is just this episode is gonna be like a recap, kind of on where I've been this last week and the crazy adventures that I went on, and then also just kind of a therapeutic me just talking about depression and me being in a psychiatric hospital when I was a teenager and how this all kind of fits into the music that I grew up loving. So anyway, now it begins. So a lot has happened. I'm fucking late, first of all. That's the first thing that happened, and I apologize to that if there's anybody who is like, what the fuck, where's their new episode? I don't know if any of those people exist. I don't want to flatter myself into necessarily believing that that's true, but if it is, I apologize. I'm kind of embarrassed that it's not on schedule, but whatever. I was on the road with the band, and we did some fucking amazing things. We saw some great stuff. We got to play Slab City, which is this commune of off the gridders who live out, and it's in between the Interstate 10 and Interstate 8, kind of right near the Salton Sea. I'll turn my shit up a little bit there. I think I'm a little quiet. So that was insanely wild. We show up and we get there a little bit late. By late, I mean fucking 5 o'clock, and it's already dark out. And I mean pitch black. There's no light sources out there at all. You've got to go miles and miles and miles to get anything electric that's not run by a generator. So we show up, and it's just this crazy outdoor bar, kind of. It's like a huge recreation area outside, and there's dogs everywhere, and there's a dog hanging out on stage with the guy playing who runs the place. And it's straight up fucking Mad Max. I'm not kidding. It's people walking around with machetes and clothes that are all patched together from whatever they could find. This isn't some cool, hip, trendy, bohemian look. This is straight up pragmatic, I have to make this work, utilitarian garb. This is for real. And they were really, really nice, really strung out. A lot of them were on some crazy drugs. There might have been some tweakers there too. I've heard that they've gotten an influx of tweakers. Basically, it's just land that the government owns but has no reason to use it. They've considered pushing all of the people out because it's really just a squatter village. That's basically what it is. And there's been times where people have talked about purchasing the land or getting everybody out, but when push comes to shove, there's just no real reason to do so. So we get there, and there's a bunch of people in there, and they're making food. And that was the first thing that we were told by one of the people who played, Bradley Riot, who has played there before, was these people are nice. Do not eat or drink anything that they give you. Just bring water bottles, drink, eat your own fucking snacks, play, and leave. But don't tell them that you're going to a hotel because they'll be offended or they'll be upset, because and then they will put I don't want to misrepresent anything, but we were definitely told that they were going to put drugs in our shit. Not because they're crazy assholes, but because they want to party with us. They want to have a good time, and they want to party with us. And I understand that, and we're all hip to that. But at the same time, don't want to get fucked up with a bunch of crazy strangers in the desert. So we didn't need anything that they gave us. But I think they did give us a present at the end. They gave somebody a present, and it was just filled with drugs. So I think they left that behind. It was fucking crazy though, man. There's kids, there's a bunch of kids, and they were beating the shit out of each other. I know everybody when they're kids, we all roughhouse and we all play fight and we all have a great time with each other when we were growing up, and we'd beat the shit out of each other, but within reason because there was usually parents nearby, or we knew we didn't really want to hurt each other. These kids were going full fucking blast, beating the fucking shit out of each other. there was like a, a big like metal monkey bar looking thing that was sitting up next to the stage, and these kids were hanging off of it, kicking each other as hard as they can to knock each other off this crazy metal death trap. It was so much fun to see and be around all of that stuff. Really, really just crazy time. And these kids weren't like fucked up gummo looking, kids with too many chromosomes either. These were beautiful kids. These were like just like if you look past the grime on their faces and their like half shaved head with dreads and stuff like that, you see like these are completely normal looking children in a completely atypical situation. But they were having a great time, and I think their parents were around there somewhere. They were having a great time. It was basically Lord of the Flies. It was just straight up like there's no two ways about it. It was just crazy, every man for himself for the kids. But it was fun, man, and we played, and that was all fun and well and good and stuff. But then we played in L.A. This place called the Nomad. That was cool too, but like it was cool because it was in an interesting neighborhood, and there was people selling food like on their front porches, like making them into storefronts. And it was a place called Frogtown. I guess it's like right outside of Dodger Stadium. That was cool. Not really like it really pales in comparison to how cool Slab City was. And if you've been a fan of the show for a while, you know Sam Etling. And he played those shows with us too, because like Austin and Josh didn't have a fucking way to get there, and he had a truck, and we were like, hey man, like fucking if we can use your truck, play some, you can fucking help us out, play some shows with us, be a fourth member for a few days. So that was fun. That was a good time. But that's one of the reasons that I've been late. Also, I just procrastinated, man, because I'm going through some more fucking technical problems, and I hate that. And I can get through without fixing them. I'm just such a like. I get really, really anal about that kind of stuff. I want everything to be perfect all the time. So, anyway, I'm just complaining. There is an actual reason for this episode. So, we're coming into winter, and if you have followed me on Instagram, you will see that I've got kind of a crazy, unhealthy obsession with Christmas. I'm always listening to Christmas music, and I'm always posting Christmas music, like on my Instagram story and things like that. I don't know what it is, like, but Christmas is this really, really. Sorry, guys, I keep burping and shit. Super. See, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's wrong with me. Christmas is a very important time for me. It's a very emotional time for me. So sorry, I'm pulling up what I'm about to start talking about. So it's very, very, very emotional. So one of the big reasons is like November of 2008. I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for teenagers. I know, right? Everything just fucking way fucking changed. But in 2008, I was placed in a psychiatric hospital for teenagers. It was at the time, it used to be called KYS, Kettering Youth Services, I think is what that acronym was. But it turned into KBMC, I think, Kettering Behavioral Medical Center, I think. But I think it's also changed a bunch since then. But anyway, that was like in Dayton, Ohio, which is where I grew up. The first 15 years of my life was in a suburb of Dayton, born in Kettering. So I'm not going to go in like too crazy super into the exact details of what happened with that. Let's just suffice it to say it was a heartbreak. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy heartbreak that being mixed with being 15 years old, when you're the most fucked that you really are as a teenager. I feel like 15 is kind of that spot where it's all just fucky and crazy, and you're no longer a tween, but you're not even close to being an adult. You can't even drive yet. So you really have nothing to do but sit and kind of deal with dealing, you know what I mean? At least that was my experience. It was really, really, it was a mess of emotions and crazy emotional turmoil. And that all kind of collided into one giant clusterfuck in November. And I had just joined what I really consider to truly be my first band, because it's the first band that I ever, we recorded music and released it and played shows and things like that. I had jammed with people before that when I was a teenager, and I was in this awful fucking in 7th grade, I was in this terrible like School of Rock kind of deal where like they would pair together the best people taking music lessons at Absolute Music in Fairborn, Ohio. And that was awful. And I played some shows playing some shitty covers of songs that none of us liked. You know what I mean? Like no 14-year-old who's playing a show for some kind of like School of Rock kind of deal is playing music that they want to that they like. We were playing fucking "Fly Away" by Lenny Kravitz and "One" from Metallica and "All on the Watchtower" by Jimi Hendrix. Like we don't want to play this shit. We want to play like, you know, My Chemical Romance and stuff. But it was just like dads who were controlling everything. So that's kind of what happens. Anyway, so Cure for the Cynic was the name of the first legit band that I was in when I was 15, with some amazing people who I definitely want to get on the podcast at some point, but they all live in Ohio, so we'll kind of see what happens. And I don't know what kind of music to call it. I've mentioned it on the podcast before, so I apologize if you've already heard me talking about it, but that kind of is the beginning to this whole story. So Cure for the Cynic. They used to be called The Untitled. Just like every other fucking like 15-year-old band, you know what I mean? And I got in there and I was immediately like, hey, I know I'm the new guy, but this name fucking blows. So we ended up changing the name. And I don't know what kind of music exactly to call it. I guess I would say it's like whatever As I Lay Dying was playing, that like melodic buttcore, you know? It's like where you'd have screaming verses and clean like anthemic choruses. So we did that, and that was cool. I had a good time. And that was really, really important for me, actually. That was really like playing our own originals every night, and you know, we threw in like a Through Struggle cover every once in a while. But that was it, man. That was fucking awesome. I thought that was the shit. I thought that we played these crazy places in Ohio for a couple months. But so I show up to practice. First day, it's actually my audition, and I'm sorry for jumping everywhere. So I show up to my first audition with them. And I have a great time, and it's in this crazy, weird little like, it's almost like a giant shed that they put walls in and made it into this weird little, not like a guest house, but like separate little practice space area, I guess. They had couch and stuff. And so I played, and I got it. We did really well, and we had a great time. I leave. My mom picks me up. And she says, we're going to the psychiatric hospital. We're going to fucking KOAS or whatever. And I was like, well, fuck. You know, I wasn't like, and it wasn't even like a suicide thing. I didn't actually want to kill myself. My mom had noticed that I was cutting. And she was, she probably has the worst anxiety of everyone I've ever met. And she saw that immediately. She's like, "Oh, well, this obviously means he's gonna kill himself." And I don't blame her for that. I feel like a lot of people would react that way. I probably would have reacted around the same way. So we go, and I'm like, "All right, well, whatever. This fucking sucks." I was really just pissed off because how the fuck is this band gonna know what happened to me? Like all of a sudden, I'm accepted into the band. And then I get admitted to a fucking hospital for 5 days. Like, what the fuck? You know, and they kept calling my mom, I guess. I found out later and asking where I was. And she was like, oh, he's on vacation. And they're like, well, he didn't fucking tell us anything about that. So I go there. And that whole experience for me was extremely therapeutic and important. And I think I have my most vivid memories of my whole life during that one little, not only those 5 days there, which I remember everything from, but also the months that surrounded that, the winter month, the fall and winter months leading up to it, and the winter to spring months that closed it out. That was easily one of the most crazy times for me. And I feel it all, and when I hear the music that I was listening to at that time. And a lot of it isn't good, and that's kind of what I'm going to be getting into in this podcast. Is I want to get into kind of the music that, because it's like my seasonal depression time is late fall and winter, which sucks in Arizona because there's no fucking snow, and it doesn't get cold enough, so I don't even get to truly bask. And the only time I get to really roll around in that wonderful coat of seasonal depression is when I'm driving around by myself at night. Because it's the only time it's really cold enough and dreary enough. Otherwise, it's like, oh, fucking palm trees. Hooray, fantastic, another blue day. I want snowy, overcast, gray, dreary days. You know what I mean? I want a dour existence in the wintertime. I don't want like, what's up, bro? Let's fucking hang out in the desert. Huh? You know, I don't know if that's actually what happens, but so 5 days, 5 nights, or 4 days, 5 days and 4 nights, I think is what I spent there. And it was just crazy, man. Like I showed up and they took everything from me. You know, I couldn't have shoelaces on my shoes for obvious reasons. Like I had notebooks with me because I was writing a lot at that time, poetry and screenplays and songs and stories, everything. I was always writing. And I couldn't have a spiral notebook. They gave me a legal pad instead because there's no metal spirals in it. And my roommate at the time found out that if you dig far enough, there are staples in the top, in the binding of the legal pad, and he would pull out all those staples and cut himself with them every night. So, you know, there's that. That kid, by the way, was so fucking doped up. Like, this is a kid my age. And I remember waking up. We got admitted around the same time. And I remember one day, like maybe a day after he got there, because they put me on drugs, but they didn't put me on anything really crazy. They just threw me on like a mood stabilizer, which I don't remember the name of, and Zoloft, which I took for 8 years, I think, 7 or 8 years. And I remember him coming out of his bedroom, or out of our bedroom one day, and coming into the group therapy room, the day room, and looking like a zombie. Like his mouth was fucking hanging open, and he was drooling, and his eyes were fucking black. They were gone. He was completely, just completely inhibited with whatever the fuck they were putting him on. And I remember just being like, shit, this is dark, man. These are kids. These are people my age, and they're like walking around like zombies, like drooling all over themselves and shit. So anyway, there's lots of crazy things that happened. I got all like crazy about a girl that I met there. We had like a crazy psychiatric hospital crush on each other, and we ended up talking outside of school, or outside of we weren't allowed to exchange numbers, and she put her phone number in the legal pad up underneath. Like she grabbed the middle of the book and rolled the pages over the top, and then wrote her number on like the back of a page at the very top of the binding, so you would have to really fucking search to find it. And we got in touch, and I think we're still in touch over social media now. Obviously that relationship didn't work, because let's be honest, no fucking relationship that begins in a nut house is going to last, and if it does last, then it probably shouldn't have. So yeah, that was fun, and I met some friends and some really, really crazy things. And anyway, back to the music. So the music that I was listening to at that time was, it's pretty much a lot of what you would expect an emo fucking dork to be listening to at 15 years old in the late 2000s. But so I'm going to start, though, with one of the most important ones, which is Social Distortion. This is a really important one. So this predates me discovering Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll, which is the kind of like the main album that I listened to in my seasonal depression stupor or whatever. So I would go to LimeWire to download all my music back then. I wouldn't do FrostWire or uTorrent or Pirate Bay. Like I didn't know about any of that stuff yet. I think it probably existed in 2008. I just didn't know about it yet. So I would download so much stuff that would just end up being like porn, you know what I mean? Like on LimeWire, because that's what you would do. Like you didn't know what you were getting. You would download an audio file, and all of a sudden there's like a dog fucking a teenage girl, and you're just like, oh no, this is not good. Delete, wipe everything out of the recycling bin. Get this the fuck off my computer now. Well, that's my grandma's computer, but get this away. This is fucking, what the fuck? Like, I'm sure the girl was 18 and everything, but Jesus fucking Christ. It's like, but usually it was just the Pam and Tommy Lee sex tape. That, I think, popped up on that computer more than any other piece of pornography. Like, every single time I'm going to download this new Aiden music video. Like, oh, Pam and Tommy fucking again. Like, God damn it. I'm so sick of seeing that guy's pencil dick, man. It was long. It just had no girth to it. Anyway, so, every once in a great while, on LimeWire, I would actually get music. And I always heard about Social Distortion growing up, but because I'm from the Midwest and my parents weren't like bikers from Orange County, I never heard them. Short of hearing Story of My Life in the movie Orange County or Mommy's Little Monster on Tony Hawk's Underground, I was really in the dark. Orange County, by the way, that movie, that's Tom Hanks' kid, Colin Hanks, and Jack Black, and Catherine O'Hara, and John Lithgow. And it's brilliant. No one knows about that movie. Orange County, you got to check it out. For real, that movie's fucking hilarious. So anyway, didn't mean to get off topic there. I really feel like more people see the movie. The grip of songs that I downloaded were Prison Bound, Story of My Life, I Was Wrong, 99 to Life, and Ball and Chain. There were some others, but that was pretty much it. Now, since then, I've gone and listened to each of their albums over the years, and still to this day, I'm convinced that, save for maybe like 4 other songs, these are easily the best Social Distortion songs. I Was Wrong is I Was Wrong is probably the most important track of anything that I'm really going to mention in this entire list. Like, I'm going to mention a lot of albums on this podcast and a lot of songs, and I really feel like I Was Wrong is one of the most important ones. Something about that song just like takes me there. It just like this warm blanket over a cold winter, and I just want to curl up in it and stay there and like be all introspective and depressed. That and Prison Bound. But and here's the worst part, though. This is really embarrassing because of how on the nose this is. The reason that those songs are so important is because they're the songs that I listened to on repeat when we were on our way to the hospital, which is so fucking embarrassing. Like, of course he listens to Prison Bound and I Was Wrong. Like, but it's like, I mean, that's kind of how it is. That's what happens when you're younger. You're stupid and cliche as balls. So that's how that was. But another one, let's see, hold on. I want to see, I have them all written down here. I want to see if there's any that was actually like previous to then and not just kind of after. We'll do Bright Eyes. So Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. My Uncle Scott showed this to me at his old house in Pennsylvania when I went there on vacation. And I'm sure I was showing him some awful shit that I was listening to. I think Slipknot's Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, was what I had on heavy rotation at the time. My grandma bought it for me at a truck stop on the way up there. And I thought the album was so fucking good when I was a kid. Like, when I was, like, 13, 14, oh, my God. Fucking Volume 3 was the most brutal shit. Oh, I'm telling you, man. Like, I always thought, like, oh, yeah, Duality is a great song. And Before I Forget, is that the other one? I always thought that was a great song, too. But there's other ones like Opium for the Masses, where I just thought that was the most brutal shit ever. I was convinced, man, that like that was the craziest guitar riff, and they were way more metal than fucking like anything my dad was listening to. And I was so like, oh, this is the shit. And then I grew older, and I was like, yeah, you were a stupid little douchebag. But I loved that album, and it managed to like be all of those things without having an explicit content like a parental advisory. Which means that kids like me could have their parents buy it for them, which is one of the reasons that album was probably so popular. So anyway, he was like, look, your music sucks ass. Let me show you something. And he put on At the Bottom of Everything from I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. And so obviously it starts with that like that talking that Conor Oberst does in the beginning. And I'm immediately enticed by that because Conor Oberst just has that magnetic quality about him. And so we're going through it, and I'm listening to it, and probably halfway through the first verse, I'm hooked. Like I'm convinced that I've been listening to nothing but garbage my whole life, and that this is the shit. And so it kind of started out as a summer spring record because I think it was for my uncle's wedding when I heard that, and I think he got married in the spring, but. It really didn't get heavy play until that winter because I knew that Bright Eyes was fucking like really, really depressing, and so that's what I would always listen to. And like I remember making a slideshow on YouTube, First Day of My Life, with like First Day of My Life playing behind it. It was like pictures of me and like I don't know, it was me and my girlfriend. I think we were broken up by the time that I was in the hospital. Oh, it was like back and forth. So yeah, we didn't truly break up until I got out, unfortunately, or until like months after I got out. But So that plays through like the whole video, and it's so goddamn embarrassing. It's just like these awful pictures of us that I threw together on Windows Movie Maker with all the terrible like star transitions and wipes and stuff. Oh god, it's so depressing. Luckily, that is long gone off of YouTube. But you know, I played. Hey, Dylan's in the room. What's up, Dylan? Do you need anything? Okay. So there's Sorry about that. So I played a lot of obvious songs off the album back then and kind of burnt myself out, honestly. Like I couldn't listen to most of this after a certain amount of time, aside from maybe like Road to Joy, because that song is so fucking good. But what's up? Oh, no, you're good. You're good at coming in and out. Sorry. So I played a lot of obvious songs back then, yeah. And then I've gone back and listened to it recently, and I've kind of rediscovered or found new life in songs like Train Underwater and Old Soul Song that at the time I really didn't give the proper attention to. I don't know why. I just like never paid. And Old Soul Song, you know, is an amazing song as I got older and really heard it a lot. Same with Train Underwater. Train Underwater is like, I cannot believe I missed the fucking boat on that song when I first heard it, because now I'm convinced it might be one of the best songs on the album. So let's jump into something a lot worse. Now, you know, Bright Eyes is cool. We all respect Bright Eyes, and Social Distortion. Everybody can at least get down to a couple Social Distortion songs. Let's part the whole fucking taste spectrum and talk about some awful fucking garbage. I was in love with Hollywood Undead. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I know it's really, really awful, but Swan Songs was my shit when I was younger. Like, when that album fucking... I'm telling you, man, when I first heard that was, like, right in fall in 2008. Like, I don't know when it came out, but I didn't know about it until fall. So I was so into it. And like I would like okay, so you know how you have memories where you wish you could just like rip your brain out, and you could rip them out of your brain and make room for better ones? Like, oh man, like I cannot believe I remember all this stupid shit. I really wish I could remember better things instead. Well, I wish I could just look into my brain and tear out all fucking 14 songs of this album from my head, because as it stands, I still know that whole thing front to back. That like this album was probably the soundtrack to like the worst of me. Like I still remember like, so I rode the same bus as the girl that all of this was happening with, and that made things really hard for me, like to escape her. I was always around her. I grew up in a town with 4,000 people in it. My graduating class, if I would have graduated there, was 100 people. Like everyone knows everyone. It's very, very, very small. Like imagine like Haddonfield in Halloween. Like it's one of those like horror movie towns that was built in the fucking 1800s, and everybody knows everybody. You know what I mean? It's like with you, everyone like knows every grandfather you've ever had. Like I remember like one of our, like I had a teacher there. Mr. Bowman taught another teacher there who was like when he was a kid. Like it's fucking disgusting, man. It's so inbred and terrible. So because of that, it made escaping people who were breaking your heart, or you know, having a heartbreak with. I don't blame her for anything. We were both kids, but like it makes things like that very hard to escape. So I remember like sitting up and curling in the fetal position on the bus, and just like blaring Black Dahlia off the Hollywood Undead Swan Songs record, like so loud that my ears were bleeding. That the whole pull up my sleeve and see the pattern of my cuts. Like, oh, it's so fucking bad. You had these dudes who were like, what? They're like late 20s, like Charlie Seed and Deuce and whatever, like easily in their late 20s at the fucking like at their youngest, singing these awful fucking like 13-year-old emo ballads. Oh my god. So yeah, man, I loved that shit when I was younger. I remember walking around the snowy Ohio streets at night, because it's really what all I would do back then. I would just walk around. The town was small enough to where I could just walk everywhere. And I would do that, and this was the album that I would often do that with. So from songs like The Diary and Youth and Number 5, and oh my God, Anyway, I feel better. I feel better after getting that off my chest. I really feel like I needed to expunge that to everybody. So, you know, I think now we can finally move away from this, and I can put Hollywood Undead behind me. But I know that unfortunately, during this whole like this seasonal depression winter months thing, I really feel like I might end up going back and listening to that album again. Just because just because, I don't know, man. I guess I'm a glutton for flagellation. Marilyn Manson, Eat Me, Drink Me. It's another album that's on this list. Or really any Marilyn Manson album. But specifically, I think Eat Me, Drink Me is probably one of the most important. So in my hometown in the mid-2000s, being a Marilyn Manson fan was still kind of the rebellious, edgy thing that it was in most small towns when he erupted onto the scene in the 90s. It was like living... It was... Okay, so you had like 3 kids in a Marilyn Manson, most likely separated by grades enough to seclude them from each other, making each of them feel completely alone. And all the kids thought you were a freak. It was exactly like the movies. Like, you had all of the cool kids, and you had like the one fucking creepy kid who was in a Marilyn Manson that everybody thought was gonna go Columbine on everybody. Like, that's what it was like, man. And I fucking loved it. Like, I thought it was the greatest thing ever, because fuck those people. Like, what fucking 15-year-old needs small town normative bullshit when they have Marilyn Manson? Like, this guy is a godless, intelligent, pissed off sex god who wipes his ass with American flags on stage. Like, that was it for me. That what the fuck else do you need? Like, I was fucking dead. Like, I was done. Like, he single-handedly blew the doors off religion for me. Okay, so in the 6th grade, I was convinced that I was possessed by demons. We've all been there. I went to the First Church of God in Germantown, Ohio, cried on a fucking Bible to a pastor, said some magic words, and got saved. All because the town that I grew up in made me feel so fucking small and twisted for liking the things that I liked, like horror movies that were fucked up that no one else liked, like weird like video nasties, and the horror movie, and music that was like crazy and dark, and the writing and books and all this. I had a taste for the darker side of things. That's all, and I'm still at that way today, and that's fine. But like, I legitimately back then believed that fucking Pazuzu was inside of my body. Like, now that a lot of that was on me. I'm sure it was a healthy mixture of confusion and rejection. But I think a lot of it was also watching Constantine too many times. Do you guys remember Constantine with Keanu Reeves? I think I saw that movie a lot, and then eventually got to the point where, because unless you don't know, I have really, really, really bad anxiety problems, and like, all I need is a good trigger. That's it. All I need is one little trigger, and I'm set off. Now, not like one of these stupid fucking like trigger warning weak bitches, but like, it's weird. Like, the things that can trigger my anxiety are completely random. There's no way to trigger warning anything. It doesn't take anything specific. It's just right time, right place, whatever. I'm gone. And I was like that even when I was a teenager. So I remember seeing Constantine and being like, oh fuck, maybe this is for me. Maybe I have a demon inside of me. Maybe I need John Constantine to come and like chain smoke a fucking demon out of me. You know what I mean? So I think I think that was probably the trigger that set all these things into motion. But what kind of concreted it was that isolation that I was feeling from everybody else around me. So, like, that idea of eternal damnation scared me more than anything. I'd lay awake I would lay awake in bed at night, tossing and turning and sweating and shaking, fucking like sure that I was damned to hell for having a darker taste in art, jerking off and saying "oh my God" too many times. And I'm still not convinced. I feel like taking the Lord's name in vain doesn't actually mean saying the slang term "oh my God." I think that's been kind of co-opted when I was younger by like crazy stupid fucking parents. I feel like taking the Lord's name in vain, doesn't that just mean like feeling like expressing that you believe that God is hopeless, right? Isn't that what that means? Like being like, oh, God will never save us. Like, that's taking the Lord's name in vain, right? Or maybe saying something to the effect of like, oh, I hope God fucks me in the asshole. Like, that's like being disrespectful to, right? I don't understand why the exclamation, oh my God. Like, what if you're outside of a church and they just opened it up and they have a giant statue of Jesus outside and you yell, oh my God, that's amazing. Is God like, you fucking piece of shit? How can you disrespect me like that? Sorry, didn't mean to go on a tear. So then I heard Antichrist Superstar. Most importantly, though, I didn't just listen to it. I read the lyrics. And I remember going home on the bus, looking out the window, listening to the song 1996, and feeling everything from relief to euphoria to blackout rage and embarrassment. I was so embarrassed that I ever let anyone make me feel that way, and I was pissed off at everyone who aligned themselves with any type of religion. Fuck everybody. Fuck you all. This is fucking bullshit. This is I was basically experiencing for the first time what is commonly referred to as teenage angst. And after that moment of listening to that music on the bus ride home, I never went back to religion again. So it's been 10 years since that happened, give or take, maybe 11. And still to this day, I'm an enlightened person. But like, that was it, man. Marilyn Manson fucking ended all of that shit for me. He ended all the stupid fears. He ended all of the anxieties. He ended all of the delusion. So still to this day, he's an important figure to me. I think he's a little. I mean, look, the mother. He's old, man. He's old. I don't know how long he's gonna make it doing this whole like rock and roll thing anymore. I see him falling out. Like he like got crushed by a stage prop recently, and all this kind of stuff's happening. And every time you hear him on stage, he's like, like he's. I mean, look, drugs have. I don't know, man. He didn't exactly have the Keith Richards gene, where he's still up there like rocking it and killing it. And he's just kind of like normal guy who does way too many drugs, but somehow doesn't die by the age of 40. So, I keep buying his albums. I'm still let down by every single one of them, worse than the last. But anyway, back to the story. Eat Me, Drink Me. I pirated this also off my grandma's computer the night that it came out. I immediately burnt it to a blank CD. And I walked to my girlfriend at the house, my girlfriend at the time's house, and put it on her like shitbox little boombox stereo. And honestly, was really bummed out. Like I remember telling myself, like, "Oh no, this is cool. I like this." When I really didn't. It grew on me, but only marginally so. Like I still like a few songs a lot. Heart-Shaped Glasses, If I Were Your Vampire, and Putting Holes in Happiness. But aside from that, it was let's be real. Eat Me, Drink Me is the beginning of the end for any excitement over new Marilyn Manson music. And I had just at the time, I just got into him. Like Eat Me, Drink Me came out right when I fucking got into him. And already that was the beginning of the end, man. I really missed my opportunity. Obviously, I knew who he was, and I saw like the music video for Personal Jesus on TV when I was a kid, and it scared the bejesus out of me. I mean, no more than Beautiful People did. Like all of his music videos back in the day were fucking horrifying for a kid. So I apologize. I'm getting over being sick. So anyway, where was I going with this? So yeah, I sometimes I feel like I get this aching feeling to go back on the music and try to hear it again. Maybe hope that I see new light in it. But I feel like I've done that a lot, and it never pans out for me. I always get let down. So, oh well. That same girl actually gave me a stick and poke tattoo of the Marilyn Manson M logo from the Golden Age of Grotesque era. I mean, it's more of wasn't really a stick and poke. It was more like a dig and scratch. They poked it in ink and just like scratched it onto my arm. So that was fucking rad. I still have it. Like, if you want to see it ever, let me know. Like it's still there, still on my left bicep. When I was 14, my little Marilyn Manson logo. So anyway, Putting Holes in Happiness, I feel like is the most specific song off of that like culmination of songs that I feel like still to this day I really get a kick out of. I think that song is so dense and brooding and like it's just so, I don't know, man. It's just really, really intense. I think Putting Holes in Happiness is still a pretty good song, as is Heart-Shaped Glasses and If I Were Your Vampire. But I mean, that song just opens up, boom, 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 like immediately you're off, and I am in sonic emotional bliss. Great song. I'll never shake the sentimental value of that song. Bloodhound Gang. Hooray for boobies. Okay. I'm ashamed of this, but Bloodhound Gang has a legitimate emotional value to me, which is fucking disgusting. It's appalling, I know, but it's unfortunately true. Story starts with Hooray for Boobies. I stole the CD from my babysitter because she was so vehemently against me hearing it. I saw it laying in her back seat when she was driving me somewhere when I was like, I don't know, like really, really young, like 11 or 12, maybe 10. And it was called Hooray for Boobies, and it had like cow udders and stuff on the cover. Like, how can I not want to see what that is? So I ended up stealing it from her, and I remember the CD itself was tan, and there was like a darker tan around the middle portion where you like stick the CD onto something, and it said insert tongue to simulate nipple. I need to put your tongue through it, and oh my god, the album was a boob. So that was hilarious. I took that to like the playground in like 5th grade and showed everybody. Everyone, we all thought it was hilarious. Boobs, oh my god. And I understood like 8% of what the jokes were on that CD. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the fuck what he's talking about. I have no idea what any of that was. So I thought that shit was hilarious. So jump ahead a little bit. I get a hold of Hefty Fine. I was completely obsessed with Bam Margera at the time because Viva La Bam was the hottest show on TV, man. Like, Viva La Bam was the shit. And Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo, the lead single off of Hefty Fine, came on TV, and it's the video with Bam Margera driving a banana car through a tunnel. You know, when there's like scattered hot female construction workers drilling into concrete like throughout the video. Classic Bloodhound Gang. So I talked my mom into buying the CD for me, but I was only allowed to have the edited version. So like, imagine that for a second. An edited Bloodhound Gang CD. The first song is called Balls Out, and it was just short of fucking instrumental at that point. Like, eventually I LimeWired it, and we were all good. Thank you again, Grandma's computer. But even still, that album is really important to me. I'd walk to the library from Valley View Middle School and listen to it while sitting on like Zanga.com and failing miserably to figure out how to play RuneScape or even what RuneScape was. My favorite song of the album is still I'm the Least You Could Do, which comes with the epic line, I'm the least you could do. If only life were as easy as you, I would still get screwed. Classic, wonderful poetry. So, maybe you can start to see why I am the way that I am. These were my influencers. Like, these, unfortunately, were my influencers before I discovered Henry Rollins and George Carlin and then dutifully rewired my brain forever. Hawthorne Heights, Fragile Future, not even Silence in Black and White, or what's the album with Saying Sorry and Pins and Needles on it? The one with the couple laying on the bed. I don't remember the name of that album. But so, I mean, when I first heard Hawthorne Heights, I was probably in 6th grade, and like, I remember that was the first time I had ever heard screaming in music. And it wasn't like the cool, like, Pantera screaming. It was like that stupid, like, that stupid fucking, like, Victory Records screaming that was all the rage for 2.5 summers. And I didn't like it really at first. I kind of liked the clean singing, but I wasn't into the screaming a whole lot yet. I didn't get into that until I got a little bit older. But I eventually got Silence in Black and White. Liked like 4 songs off of it. Same with the other album, whose name I can't remember. And but Fragile Future had come out right after Casey Calvert died. That's his name. I think it's his name, Casey Calvert. I hope I'm not fucking that up because he's dead and that would be really shitty. I mean, the Hawthorne Heights are all from my hometown, or they're right outside of my hometown. I've heard that they're from, like, because everything online says like Dayton, Ohio, but I'm pretty sure. Wait, Casey Calvert's a porn star? Hold on. Oh, there's 2 Casey Calverts. There's Casey Calvert from Hawthorne Heights, died of accidental mixture of drugs of like opiate, citalopram, and clonazepam intoxication, according to results of a blank. But I guess there's also Casey Calvert, who is a porn star. I wonder which came first, because if she like made her porn name Casey Calvert after the guy that died, that would be kind of fucked up. So anyway, everyone knew him. I think he's technically from Middletown. I think they're all technically from Middletown-ish. It says like Dayton, but I'm pretty sure it's Middletown. And Middletown is like a 15-minute, 10-minute drive away from Germantown. It's kind of like Queen Creek to Santan Valley. Like they're pretty much the same thing. And so they were fucking huge. And when Casey died, everything was Hawthorne Heights. You couldn't escape Hawthorne Heights for a while. And then Fragile Future came out, which is the album that has like 4 becomes 1 or 5 becomes 4 or 4 becomes 3 or whatever the fuck, that song about Casey's death. And I had that album. And so I have like these vivid memories of sitting in my bedroom at night in the dead of winter with this CD on in my stereo with my room freezing cold because the window was open. Window was open because I would sit at the window and smoke at the time. Now, this is how fucking weird. Like, I have this vivid memory. Camel released this brand of cigarettes for a short amount of time called like Signature Blends or something like that. And they had Fire, I think, was one. And then the other one was Frost. Camel Frost. I guarantee you no one is going to remember Camel Frost, but it was a thing. And Camel Frost, it was like a menthol kind of deal. I think it was them introducing what would end up becoming their, like, they would do Camel Crushes with the little ball in them. Camel Frost had the little ball in them. I liked those cigarettes a lot, and I had some 18-year-old buying them for me. I always had some fucking well-to-do 18-year-old buying me cigarettes when I was a kid. And I would sit there, and I would smoke them out my window all fucking night, and then I would just put the cigarette butts in my... because I didn't want to get caught by flicking them. So I would put them out on the side of my house, and then... this is the second floor of the house. And I would put them in my nightstand, like in the drawer, my nightstand drawer, which was fucking stupid because my room just smelled like smoke and I got caught anyway. But I remember one time I was smoking over there, and this dude, like, I was always nervous that someone was going to see me smoking out there. And then one time this guy, like, stopped his truck and, like, got out of his truck, and I could hear his footsteps, like, crunching up to my window. And I was, like, petrified. Like, I was laying down underneath my window. Music's on. Hawthorne Heights, Fragile Future. And I'm sitting here, like, terrified that there's some fucking scary dude staring there waiting for me to come out so that he could, like, I don't know, either yell at me or tell my parents or, like, eat my soul or something. I don't fucking know. I was terrified. I waited there for what had to be at least a half an hour, and I looked out the window and he was gone. So I guess at some point he walked away and drove away, but I swear to God, dude, like, I heard his footsteps. Like, he was there. He was real. So then I just, like, you know, that was anyway. So that's my little Hawthorne Heights story, my little tale of that fucking that creeper guy. What else do I want to talk about? So Bloodhound Gang, I mentioned, obviously Marilyn Manson. What else do I have on my list here? Under Oath, They're Only Chasing Safety. Ha! How can I not have an Under Oath album on here? I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one, to be honest with you. It was just kind of like, it was really just for A Boy Brushed Red and Some Will See Forgiveness. Those were the only two songs I really cared about. Under Oath were never really my scene. Again, like I said earlier, I didn't get into music that had screaming in it until I got a little older than this. And but even though I was an angsty, angry teenager who disavowed any kind of religion, Some Will See Forgiveness, which is obviously about Jesus, I still loved. I still thought it was fucking dope. I still kind of think it is dope, just because I'm a piece of shit. Like, it's so funny because I think I have good taste in music, and I'm always listening to new music, and I'm always searching for new music. But man, that music that you like when you're a kid, sometimes the shit doesn't fade away. And if I were to hear it for the first time now as an adult, like if Under Oath just came out and I heard that song, I'd be like, oh, this is garbage. But like as an emotional 15-year-old, there was nothing fucking better. So yeah, Some Will See Forgiveness, great song. Don't really have anything else to say about this album. Oh, side note, fucking went with my grandma to some like building to help her seal envelopes for a cause that she was signed up for, I guess, and listened to this album the entire 3-hour day that I was there, and I never wanted to hear it again. So there's that. That was the end of my Under Oath listening, was having to fucking listen to that entire album for 3 hours, just back to back to back to back to back. Fucking trashed it, never listened to it again after that. Atreyu, Death Grip on Yesterday. The Theft. That's all I have to say about this one. The Theft. And X's and O's, I guess, but let's not kid ourselves. It's all about the theft. Do you remember when this band went over the top commercial? Like, sure, I mean, yes, they were always commercial and extremely popular, but do you remember when Lead Sails, The Paper Anchor came out, and Doomsday and Becoming the Bull were the singles? Like, fuck me up. At the time, like, we had 103.9 The X, which is comparable to like a 93 KUPD out here, or the late 103.9 The Edge. And it became one of those bands. Like, all of a sudden, Atreyu went from playing to crowds of fans of other Victory Records bands like Hawthorne Heights and Aiden and Silverstein, to playing for like dads and bro metal douchebags. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Let's see what else. That's really all I have to say about Atreyu. I don't have like a whole lot to say about them. My cousin had a poster of them in his room, and one time he got high on salvia back before everybody stayed the fuck away from salvia. And it was like this new thing, and he like watched them all climbing out of the poster at him, and I think he got rid of it after that. I think that put an end on a trade for him. Someone's yelling in my house. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna ignore it. Avenged Sevenfold, self-titled. Look, I'm sorry. This podcast is really just me purging my past musical sins. This band is shit, and it's hard for me to listen to anything but this album. City of Evil has some okay. Remember what I said earlier. None of this is probably music that I would have gotten into if it came out now, but being a sentimental fuck that I am, I still kind of do. City of Evil has some redeeming factors to it, but I still feel like there's a lot of good to be found in this album, personally. Like, Bronson Cocktail is still a fucking sick song. I feel like they took a lot of risks that really paid off. Not saying it's good by any means, but you could do a lot worse, in my opinion. I don't know, like, maybe it's hard for me to just divorce myself from the immense impact this band had on me growing up. But, like, dude, I was so into them. I used to watch all of their behind the music stuff that they had on YouTube, like behind the music videos and the All Access DVD that they put out. Like, I wanted to be the Rev so bad when I was a teenager. Like, I even listened to like Pinkly Smooth, the Rev's old avant-garde new wave metal band, whatever the fuck they were. And although I respect it, I overplayed Little Piece of Heaven so much back in the day that I can't even go anywhere near it anymore. Great song though, you know, all things considered. Yeah, I really liked that band when I was a kid. Bullet for my Valentine, The Poison. All right, so this is into even worse territory. Fuck this band. I was gonna say something about them because I did like them for a little while growing up, but I changed my mind. This band can suck my dick. Some honorable mentions. I think we're nearing the close of this. Here's some honorable mentions. The Used and Love and Death. I'm not going to talk too much about this album just because this is not an album that is specific to this time. I listened and do listen to The Used regularly. I did from the time I was like 13 to now. Don't like anything they've put out in the last few years, but I still love The Used. They're not pigeonholed to any moment in particular. Bless the Fall, His Last Walk. Eyes Wide Shut, the only song that really matters on that one. So what else I got? Offspring Greatest Hits. I don't know, man. Like, still kind of a great compilation. Like, when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, I'm just digging deeper and deeper and deeper. I really just need to end this bad boy. My Chemical Romance, Black Parade. Fuck you. This is a fucking great record still. The Black Parade is still an awesome album. I don't care, dude. If it came out today, I would still love it. Fuck everybody. Anyone who gives, like, you can say whatever you want about all those lame-ass emo bands from back in the day. You can talk shit about Silverstein and Aiden and Hawthorne Heights and fucking Atreyu and all of that Seosin, all that garbage back then. Fucking, you can even say shit about The Used, but My Chemical Romance are and were amazing. Black Parade was fucking sick. Still, like, a wonderfully cohesive album. Love that shit. That album... That's one of those albums like American Idiot that when I first heard it, my whole entire existence just imploded on itself. I'm never the same person since. Newfound Glory, Coming Home. This is like their weird not pop punky album. I mean, it's kind of like a piano rock album. There's some weird stuff on this album. There are some weird good times to be had. It's Not Your Fault and Hold My Hand, I think it's the other song. Those are some cool tracks off that one. Yeah, man, I think that's about it. That's my yeah. So these are all just songs that or albums rather, that were really important to me, during some really emotional times, and just kind of felt like talking about it because I've been thinking a lot about it a lot lately because it's that time of the year, man. So I just kind of put a lot of this music on and in the privacy of my own headphones or car by myself because, anybody I live with or Alicia specifically would absolutely slaughter me for fucking playing this around them. And I recognize that. But like I said, man, there is something to be said about sentimental value. I'm never going to shake it with any of these songs. That's for sure. Escape the Fate should be mentioned too. Their one song, not Situations. Not that song. The other song. Not Good Enough, A Truth and Cliche, the Romeo and Juliet song. That's another one, man, that just kicks off. Every time I hear that song, I just immediately feel that cold embrace of an emotionally adolescent winter. So anyway, I have some really awesome guests lined up coming up pretty soon. Echo Gillette, who is a really, really, really popular and successful YouTuber, is coming on the show on this week because I don't know what date I'm actually going to release it, but that'll be up. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to have she lives in my apartment complex. I ran into her one day and we're like, oh, hey, we should add her on Facebook. She's a really cool chick. And then upon adding her on Facebook, I was like, oh, wait, she has a Wikipedia or not a wiki, a YouTube wiki or a celeb wiki or one of those things. And I was like, what the fuck? So then we got to talking to her and I found her YouTube channel and it's legit. She's got 500,000 views on some of her shit, 100,000 subscribers or something fucking crazy, man. So she's going to be on. She's rad. She lives in my complex. So, there's going to be some good times ahead. I got Sun System coming on. Holy Fawn is going to be on at sometime in December. I'm trying to get Tyler from Diners on too. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I have a contact for him because he doesn't respond to social media messages, at least not from me. So hopefully I can get him on too. So yeah, thank you guys if you made it this far. As always, I always thank everybody for still listening. If you're in this late to the episode, gonna wrap it up. Let me know what you think. Hit me up. Enjoy all of the Christmas music that I'm gonna be posting. Follow my Spotify. I'm telling you, man. My Spotify playlist, Christmas bangers. There's 2 Christmas bangers playlists. There's one that somebody else made that is legitimately popular, and then there's one that I made. You've got to check it out because you won't be let down. Christmas songs, man. It's all about fucking Christmas. Have a great time. Have a great day, guys. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful year. Enjoy the rest of your year. If you don't listen to any podcasts after this, yeah. Thank you for listening. This is fun. Just expunging all of this and getting all this off my chest and talking. This is really nice. Maybe I'll start my own separate podcast where I just kind of talk by myself. It's very odd. It's kind of nice though. It's really relaxing. I feel it's not necessarily meditative, but I definitely feel I got some shit off my chest. Feeling pretty good about things. Pretty relaxed. I'm gonna go and do some other things now. All right. Well, have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for listening.